the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello to everyone out there on Facebook and YouTube. And here it is, Saturday night again. I can't believe how fast Saturday nights come around. But anyways, what we do here is we expose the Watchtower organization. And friends, I have to tell you right now, there's a lot of things to expose about this nasty, evil organization. Well, my name is Rick Farron. I'm up here in Boston. And we've been doing this now for many, many years. And we love to talk to everyone on Saturday night. People call in from pretty much all over the world. We have people, man, we have a man that calls in from South Africa, New Zealand. We have people from New Zealand, from Australia, from the United Kingdom, from Sweden, pretty much everywhere you can think of. And we're really happy to have such an international network. And friends, this is where ex-Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. Whether you like the six screens or not, you got to face the facts that this is where they come to talk. So if you want to hear what ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are talking about and sharing their stories of being in the Watchtower, well, by all means, this is the channel to watch. So I'm going to invite Anne Marie. Hello, Anne Marie. There with us?
Right here with you, my brother.
Well, I'm so glad, Anne Marie, that you're a dedicated woman. You're moving forward. You're doing the same thing I'm trying to do here, is expose the Watchtower and let the world know that they should not get involved with these people. So I know you're in the same boat I'm in, Anne Marie, aren't you?
Oh, no doubt. It still shocks me to this day how subtly and how cleverly the Watchtower recruiters are trained to not only defend the wicked organization and paint it like it's so holy and hearts and flowers and love and serving God, when it's the exact opposite. It's so sexually deviant, satanic, tyrannical, dictatorial cult. And yet we were convinced, we were all hypnotized. We were convinced that it was all hearts and flowers and love.
Well, Anne Marie, I have to tell you, I don't know if you heard it or not, but I had a person in the last day. They sent me an email, but they wouldn't let me know who they are. They might be the plaintiff even in this case, but it's a court document that was just filed in New York court systems a few days ago, and it's concerning a young girl. I'll give information tonight. I'll give names and what have you. And she was actually in a congregation when the circuit overseer, I guess, evidently found her to be quite the girl. He started grooming her. Circuit overseer doing this, and he actually raped her numerous times in an assembly hall. If you can believe that. This is circuit overseer did this, and of course the Watchtower covered it up. And the young girl actually became pregnant. She was raped numerous times, and she became pregnant at 13. We're going to talk about that story tonight, Anne Marie. It's an evil story,
Yeah, I've been hearing it on the internet. This guy started in on her when she was barely 12. She couldn't get any help. She was a pioneer. And this is just something else that needs to be brought out, because even the witnesses that do hear some of these stories, they tend to just blow it off as lies from Satan. You know, remember when, what's his name? You know, we call him, you know, the clown face, rubber face. My husband calls him Stephen Lett. You know, he's talking about, oh, we need to contribute to the oneness of Jehovah's organization by rejecting false stories or outright lies, such as Watchtower's permissible toward pedophiles. Shoot, there's a pedophile paradise, and we all know it. And they don't want their people to know it. Anyway, I don't want to steal your thunder. You always do a great job doing the news, my brother.
Well, I'll tell you, we also have an author coming on tonight. And I'll tell you, Anne Marie, she's written in numerous books, and she is so looking forward to coming on tonight. She'll be on around 9 o'clock tonight, Eastern time. But she is so enlightening. She's got so much information to share with us. And she has, I love the title of her newest book she's writing right now. It's called The Back Room. Well,
Uh-oh.
we all have stories of being in the back room, so she's going to be looking for some people that she can have tell their stories in the back room. And I mean, I've got one. We all have a back room story, Anne Marie. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, we're all treated so unkindly, so disingenuously treated. I mean, they didn't give us any feelings at all. We went in there, everyone was always prejudicated. You were wrong when you walked through the back room door. There was no such thing as a fair discussion in the back room. It was all one-sided. It was unilateral, Anne Marie.
Always. We were never allowed to defend ourselves. We were never allowed any witnesses in defense of ourselves. Whatever they decided you were guilty of, you were guilty of. Your son practically gets in how much trouble for somebody mistaking him walking down the street with a cigarette when really he just had a white big pen in his mouth that he was chewing on. Maybe he was nervous. And he gets in trouble, but a pedophile whose victim comes to him crying, he raped me, he sodomized me, he says nobody will believe me, but this is what he did. Well, do you have two witnesses? Sorry, you better not talk about it, or else you'll get in trouble for defamation and for slander and for lying and for causing division and for bringing reproach upon Jehovah's organization. Man, they tie you up and spit you out.
And you know, the other thing too, I'll tell you, well, we won't get too much into it. We'll discuss it later on because she's going to tell us her story. I'll tell you what, she was treated so unfairly. I mean, it really caused her to leave the Watchtower. That was it. She packed it in. She had what the elders accused her of, knocked her out of the Watchtower. You'll hear it tonight. Well, Anne Marie, anything in particular you'll be speaking about tonight?
Well, I did want to talk about the main control mechanism the Watchtower uses, which is fear. But before that, really, because it was Thanksgiving, to me, Thanksgiving is the most important, for me, celebration since I've come out of the Watchtower. To me, that's the most important celebration because it's all about thankfulness. What do we really have to be thankful for, no matter what we're suffering from, no matter what cost we've had to pay for being out of that Watchtower cult? What thankfulness. We should be so full of gratefulness and thankfulness. And I just kind of wanted to open up the lines and put out the call. Has anybody any thoughts, experiences, how they felt about Thanksgiving in the Watchtower while they were believing in the Watchtower? And after they came out, your feelings change. So I'm just curious, my brother, including you, my brother, you and Susan.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, if you're going to have stories about Thanksgiving, I mean, I've got one. Maybe, if no one chimes in at first, sometimes it's hard to get an icebreaker, but I'll come and tell you a little story. And I think you might.
How you felt. I don't want just stories. I want to know how you felt.
All right.
What were your thoughts in the Watchtower and coming out? Thank you, my brother. I'm listening.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Introduce the show. Today is Big Screen Saturday, my dear brothers and sisters. November 29, 2025 is the first show of the week, and it is Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. And today, but we're just kind of talking about Thanksgiving, how you felt in the Watchtower about Thanksgiving, how your thoughts and feelings and beliefs and have changed. We want to welcome everyone who is listening, especially I welcome the Pinviews, those who are still faithful to the Watchtower, they're physically in but mentally questioning. That's a very scary place to be. And I welcome our brothers and sisters who are PMO. They are physically in, but mentally they are out. They're awake. They know the truth about the Watchtower. They have done the research, but they're staying in, playing the game, and kind of like undercover spy because they want to get their parents out, their children out, their grandparents out. Welcome all of you. My brother Rick is going to give us some thoughts about Thanksgiving. My brother Rick.
Well, basically what it was I used to always go out on Thanksgiving, door to door, and many people listening in also did that. But a lot wouldn't. A lot didn't really like going out on the holidays. But I would go out on all the holidays, really, Christmas, New Year's, even Thanksgiving, and I would lead the group generally on Thanksgiving. And I can remember one day as we were, going through the Bible text for the morning, a sister in the Kingdom Hall, a married sister. She was young at the time, probably late 20s, early 30s. And all of a sudden she started crying. I mean, bald. Oh yeah, bald face crying, Anne-Marie. I'm not talking just, shedding a few tears. I'm talking about I had to stop, giving the text and say, "Are you all right?" Her name was Susie. I said, "Susie, are you all right, Susie?" And boy, she could hardly get a word out. She was so choked up. So, everyone's looking at her. She's sitting in the seat. And boy, they're all. We had about 20 people out, so everyone's looking at her and trying to figure out what's going on with Susie. So then I said, "Susie, is there something you want to share with us today?" So she says, "Well, Brother Farron, this used to be such a big day in my life. My whole family would come together, and I'd be there with my aunts and my uncles and my mother and father and my grandmother and grandfather, and we'd all sit around the table." She says, "I miss it, Brother Farron." And she started crying, Anne-Marie. Can you imagine that? Yeah. So, it's an emotional thing to have to be separated from your family. And that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses do. They're good at it. They know how to really destroy family relationships. So I wanted to bring that up because that always stuck with me. That always stuck with me. And that same girl, I'll tell you, we used to do talent shows. And Susie was such a good actress. And she would always have like a little plot, a little story she'd act out. And I thought she really was a really good actress. And she even came to me once and said, "Brother Farron, if I wasn't one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I would have pursued an acting career." And she probably would have been very good at it. But you see what this organization does? It stifles you. It stops you from pursuing careers and being with your family. I mean, what benefit? What benefit, Anne-Marie, does anyone have being one of Jehovah's Witnesses? I would like to know what the benefits are.
Well, my brother, before we answer that, I would like to know what you think is behind the Watchtower so adamant about not, being with your family and not pursuing a career that you have a talent for. What do you think that does to benefit Watchtower?
Well, I've thought, in fact, you didn't catch me off guard with this because I've thought about this numerous times. Why can't we, get together on holidays or be with our family, our worldly family, as they would say? And Marie, the only conclusion I can draw is they do not want us around sensible-minded people. That they want us to stay in the herd, in the group. They don't want us meeting with people because it's going to come up. Well, why don't you guys do this? Why don't you do that? I mean, really, they will not listen to any of this, but that's why they want to keep them away from their relatives and friends. Because if they kept meeting with them like that, eventually maybe some of their words would get through. But that's my thoughts on it. That's why I think they don't celebrate Easter, Thanksgiving, or any of those holidays, because they don't want us around people.
You know the phrase better than I do. It's an old American and maybe a Celtic phrase. Blood is thicker than water. The family is a strong tie, the tribal tie, and they don't want us to have it.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's so valid what you said. Go ahead.
This week I was listening to Coolio, Living in a Gangster's Paradise, and I think that is the best theme for the Witness Born-ins. It's a great little tune. And the other tune on the Two for Tuesday for me this week was an old hit by Gene Knight called "Miss the Big Stuff, Who Do You Think You Are?" And that goes after the governing body.
Yep, I'm hearing you. Yeah, I was just thinking of the motive behind Watchtower being so adamant to just keep you only associating with fellow believing Watchtowerites your friends, your family, your marriage mate, everybody should only be in the Watchtower as much as possible. And any fraternizing that involves worldly, quote unquote, those family members who are not in Watchtower. Watchtower can't control your family that is not in Watchtower. Watchtower, get to be with their family members who are not under the mind control, cult mentality, indoctrination. They have their own family. Go ahead. Is it?
Yeah, well, this is David in Virginia.
Hey, David.
Okay. Hey, it's been a pretty good Thanksgiving with all the family that I know and everything. But what you guys were saying, and this breaks my heart, okay? It eats me up every year, okay? I lost my parents on November the 16th and 18th, 2 years apart. Both of them passed away. 96 and 94. Okay? Now, every time this Thanksgiving comes along, okay, now, my wife is a devotional Jehovah's Witness. Now, her friends, her relatives, asked her to come over to Thanksgiving dinner yesterday. Okay, on Thursday.
Okay.
Let me tell you, they asked her to come out there, and she didn't say nothing to me. She left at 10 o'clock in the morning, and she went door to door. And let me tell you, it broke my heart so bad to see all these people asked her, like 5 or 6 people in the family asked her to come. And then when I got back home, she said, did you have a good time with those non-Christians?
Oh, for God's sake.
And my heart I just wanted to scream bloody murder. And I was like, how can you judge somebody that you won't even come to your own people's get together just to see the family, to see if they're okay or alive?
Well, I don't have words. Go ahead, David, dear.
And then one of the elders down the street, he came up here and he tried to scold me. What? Okay, I looked at him and I said, number one, you're not a Christian. Number two, you're not a Christian organization. You are a business opportunity pushed out into the public to say that you're Christians. Now you change your MO one more time. You change your attitude and you change your ways because you went out and you started dressing like normal people in churches. And now you think that we're all supposed to fall for your baloney story, and you dress this way now so you can bring more people into the organization? I said, no. And I said, my wife is not going to write any more of your stinking letters, and you're going to pay her $15 every letter she mails out of my house. And then on top of that, I told this man, I said, now, if my wife gets hurt going door to door, and she breaks a leg, breaks her arm, or falls down, and she gets seriously hurt, you're going to pay for it.
You go, David.
My attorney told me what to do, and I'm following his words straight to the teeth. And he told me he would back me up in court, and he'd make sure they paid for everything. And he knows all about the mind control techniques because he's been through 5 lawsuits with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And he won every one of those cases, too. Let me tell you, I associated myself with the best people that I could this year. poor little face, that she couldn't be with her brothers and sisters, but she could talk to them on phone on Thanksgiving. And said, "How was the turkey and everything?"
Oh.
And they all said, "You should have got your butt over here and tasted it for yourself."
Yeah.
Looked right back into her face, but I just looked, smiled, and walked away.
Oh.
That's after we got back home. Me and my youngest son, we went to everybody's house. We went to her family side, and then we went to my family side. And I'm telling you, I was crying when her three sisters were talking to her about coming over there, being married with 7 sister-in-laws and 4 brother-in-laws, and they all hate everybody. That's not Christians.
Yeah.
They're not Jehovah's Witnesses. And let me tell you, it really ate me up this year because their parents passed away. They didn't have Thanksgiving in the last 5 years to get together with the family.
Oh.
Because they're all Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, I know what you people feel like. And it eats me up every year. It's like I go through a depression part. Of my parents passing away, and then I got to put up with their garbage when they don't show up.
Oh,
2 years ago, 2 years I rented a banquet hall and asked them all to come. Okay, cost me $150 for the banquet hall, and only my side of the family showed up. And I'm going to tell you, they missed out on a great thing. But I feel the pain that the Watchtower puts on human beings and everything that they have done in the last 5 years to bring yourselves around to sound and look like Christians is totally 100% wrong. But you're out there. You're a business first. It says it right on your magazines. Bible and Tract Society Incorporated, INC.
Yep.
It says it right there.
Yep.
Then the cops say to you, they are a Christian organization. Then you bring it up to the cops and you show them, no, this is a business masquerading as a religion.
Yeah,
and our county got bullied by them, and everything. That's what I found out this past 2 weeks. I'm so pissed right now. I want to spit out nails out of my mouth.
I don't blame you.
And I'm going to put on our new ballots in our county. I'm going to get it passed for the next 2 years when we got to go and vote again, that we don't let Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses knock at our doors and trespass against us.
Yeah.
The neighborhood and the county, people in the county. Yeah, I took a lot this weekend and this week to watch what happened. So I feel you people's pain.
Yeah.
So God bless all of you and God bless Jesus. I'll let you go.
Oh, David, I want to thank you so much for sharing because, it is so insanely frustrating to see these false Christians calling themselves true Christians while they judge and criticize and condemn and mock and arrogantly say, you deserve to die because you're evil and wicked and we're the only true Christians. And we're just supposed to suck it up Good for you. I appreciate your passion, and you know, I'm so glad you stand up for what you know is right, David. You go, my David.
The thing of it all is us people that are on the outside looking inside to what these Jehovah's Witnesses are doing to other Jehovah's Witnesses. We should go back and take our people back. And it's just like the Kingdom Hall. They said they don't lock their doors when you're inside the meeting. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
wait a minute. When you're the fire marshal, and the fire marshal knows that you are only allowed to have 60 people in that building, and you have 80, and you lock the doors, that's a fine to the county.
Yeah.
And that's totally wrong. You only have one door in the front and one door in the back somewhere to get out of that building.
Right.
And all the windows are too high for you to climb out. And that's what I got this Kingdom Hall down here caught on. And then they only have two windows that are 16 inches and 4 foot high to get out of. But you got to break those windows, those double pane windows out. And you can't get out of the building. So I'm getting a fire marshal to do the codes again and go and get the other codes done through the county courthouse. If they have to have windows that are no more than 32 inches from the floor up, and they have to be at least 3 foot high.
I was really shocked one time. I happened to be in San Francisco, my husband and I, and we happened to be very close to the Kingdom Hall where I attended when I was a kid. He was like 13, 14, and I realized no matter what, I couldn't live like those people. They were stuck up, they were snobs, there were too many cliques, they were judgmental, and I just knew I couldn't do anything with them. So I quit going. And we were there in the city near that old Kingdom Hall that I attended when I was a young teenager, and where I technically just left the organization. And we were there about maybe a year or two ago. And I just out of curiosity asked my husband, you know, can we stop by that Kingdom Hall? And they had wrought iron doors, and they only had one door that you could go in. And I just felt like it would be wrong, you know, because before you always could just walk in and they smile if they greeted you at all, but they never bothered you. And I just poked my head in the door, and two brothers came up and asked me who I was and what was my business and why was I there. And I looked around at the meeting that was in progress, and people were turning around staring at me, and there weren't very many in that Kingdom Hall. It was a very small Kingdom Hall, one of the smallest I've ever seen. But just the entire attitude was so oppressive. There's no love, there's no calmness, there's no welcome. And I'm like, wow. They had locks on the doors, they had security guards. Thank you. I just wanted to validate that.
Yeah, it's just like a couple months ago when I go down there because Penny's tire went out, was going flat, and I had to fill it up, and the pin came out a little bit, and I screwed it back in, got it back on, and put air into it, and this guy comes out and says, "Who are you, and what are you doing here? This person's car." Well, I said, number one, you know me. Number two, I'm not going to explain anything to you, and I don't care what you want. And if you ask me to leave, I'm going to have the cops here. I'm going to have you arrested.
Wait, you said that or he said that?
Yes. I did. I'm not backing down off none of these people no more. These people are going to hell in a handbasket this year. After I get done with the government up there in Washington, D.C., I'll be back up in the Washington offices in 2 weeks. And I'm going to take some people out.
Well, like I said, I admire your directness and your passion. You know, you're not shy. You just say what needs to be said.
And it's going to be done because I have some meetings with some big people in 2 weeks. And this is the agenda that's going to happen. These people that we're talking about.
You go.
I'm going after their taxes. I'm going after them being a business, and I'm going after them for doing what they have done to human beings and their mind control and their other garbage that they have put out on the American public and around the world. I'm not going to stand for none more of the garbage. It's
there you
stopped
go.
here.
There you go, David.
And a lot of people don't want to stick up or be around me or anything else. Even witnesses, the witnesses that came out, they didn't want to stick up or be around me because I'm an outspoken person now. And I don't care what I heard, who I heard, or what I heard, because they have hurt enough of human beings on the face of this earth. The buck stops this coming year. I guarantee you. Because I'm opening my mouth and I got all the paperwork and I got all the paperwork to back me up this time. I'm not playing. I have facts up to the hilt. And my facts are gonna be them. And they're gonna have to eat crow this time. Because I'm not letting another human being on the face of the earth get hurt by these people. But I'll let you go. I love you guys. You be good.
Well, we love you too. And I can't wait to hear about the meeting that you were talking about next week. I mean, on that show 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, you just watch. The buck stops here.
There you go. Well, I admire your passion and your stick-to-itiveness and your tenacity. So is anybody else that would like to comment? Just
hello, Anne-Marie.
Hi.
Get the other caller first.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be extremely brief. This is Stephen. I just wanted to say, going back to your topic.
What's your name?
I also think, Stephen.
What's your name?
My name is Stephen.
Stephen, thank you. Hi, Stephen. Go on,
good evening. I just had a quick comment. This was something that I was thinking about not too long ago. I also think that Watchtower sometimes implements some of these bizarre changes just to see how far will the witnesses go, almost like a litmus test. And one example that comes to mind is when they wrote this article against the use of the piñata because of its pagan origin.
That was a while back.
And apparently, that was a while back. But apparently there was so much opposition, I think, by the Latin American community that Watchtower all of a sudden got new light, made a reversal, and said, well, the piñata is sort of disconnected from its pagan origin, so, it's all right. So the point that I'm making is sometimes I think they just implement things to see how far they can go, how much control can they exercise, and if people rebel against it, then they'll make a reversal. And then you can extend that to disfellowshipping and shunning. And I realized a long time ago, if enough witnesses stood up and said, I am not going to shun my relatives or even other witnesses because they don't want to be a part of this organization for whatever reason, if enough people did that in the congregations all around the world, and the circuit overseers would funnel that information up to Watchtower, they'd make a change in their policy. And it's the witnesses who are really driving this, because if enough threaten to leave, Watchtower doesn't care about people, but they care about the profit. So that's money that they'd be losing, that they'll make a change. They'll make a reversal. So that's all it would take to get rid of a lot of these policies. But I do believe that some of this stuff, the changes that they're making, they will make just to see how far they can go. Will the friends follow? And if they don't, then of course they'll do a role reversal. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah,
Thanks,
well,
Anne-Marie.
look what they did with Christmas. Everybody celebrated Christmas, but I guess somebody got the idea like, oh my God, look how much money we'd be getting if nobody could celebrate Christmas. All that money could come to our coffers. So they got rid of Christmas.
Correct.
And then later,
Correct.
I never knew that Watchtower celebrated birthdays. I met this 92 or 93-year-old lady who was visiting my congregation in 75. And it was after the meeting, and I was interested in her. And she was telling me all about the early days of Russell and Rutherford. And somehow the subject of birthdays came up. I apologize. I have two huge planes flying above me. And I said, that's the one thing that bothers me because I have my children. And to me, their birthdays are precious. And she says, oh, no, we used to celebrate birthdays. And she said, in fact, it was the custom that all of the sisters after the meeting, when they're going around fellowshipping, that they would carry their Bibles, because in those days, she said, all of their Bibles, the King James Bible, I think they used it, had like 5 or 6 blank white pages in the back. And she said it was the custom that the sisters in their conversation, as the birthday came up, oh, what's your birthday? And that's how all of the sisters kept track of everybody's birthdays. And I was like staring at her going, what? And I said, but I was always taught that we couldn't celebrate birthdays because it's creature worship and it's taking away from honoring Jehovah and, all that crap they said us. And she looked at us and she looked at me and she said, well, I think that we were everybody, there were always birthdays. There was always a birthday between kids and people in the congregation. There was always somebody's birthday. There was always a birthday party. And she said, well, I guess the faithful slave thought that we were spending too much time honoring each other instead of honoring Jehovah. And that's why they did it. But later, I realized, no, it was the money. The same reason why they talked against us having dogs. Remember that one?
Exactly. I do.
Em?
And I'll say something else. If you recall, there was a picture. I did not know that Watchtower celebrated Christmas. I didn't know about birthdays until you just told me, so thank you. But I didn't know they celebrated Christmas until I saw that picture in the Insight on the Scriptures. But my understanding is the only reason why they put that in there is because the non-witnesses or the apostates were starting to learn that Watchtower used to celebrate Christmas right there in Bethel. And of course, they were very confused and put off by that. And so when they released the Kingdom Proclaimers, there's a little bit of a blurb, there's a picture, and I think there's a statement or something about they used to celebrate Christmas up until some year. So what they were trying to do was kind of get out ahead of it, knowing that that was going to cause all kinds of problems with the witnesses who never knew that. And that kind of reminds me of this last annual meeting. We, as non-witnesses who've done history on this organization, we all learned that Charles Taze Russell did not begin the Jehovah's Witnesses or even the Bible students. He did not start that. It was that financier, and then he later took over and went and had it incorporated, but he did not start it. Now, if we were to tell an active witness, Charles Taze Russell did not start the Bible students, which ultimately became the Jehovah's Witnesses, they would probably say we're wrong, we don't know what we're talking about, we're making lies, or they'd be very dumbfounded because this is what they've been told all along. So to get out in front of that, they made that little god-awful quiz that they tried to have in the last annual meeting, and they asked that question, who started it? And they were like, well, if you thought it was Charles Taze Russell, you'd be wrong. It was some financier. But that should really give people a thought, like, well, wait a minute, what the hell am I a part of here? This isn't even started by Charles Taze Russell. Who started it? Why? And that should really get people to thinking, but unfortunately it doesn't. But in any event, I'm enjoying the program. I'm going to go back on mute so someone else can talk. Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Thank you so much.
They had their own little costume movie, which they did a very nice job on the costumes, and they used their Brooklyn buildings before they sold them, and they did a biography of Russell, and they mentioned Conley in their own show, and they hinted at Stetson. because Russell knew the money. He had been at haberdashery, and he was close to Stetson of the famous wonderful hats. So in their own show about Russell's early life, they mentioned all of that. It's funny that the rank and file witnesses, I guess they don't have time to watch some of their own shows. This was one of the best shows they did because they had all the costumes and buildings and told about Russell's early life and how much money he had in haberdashery before he started Watchtower with Connolly, Stetson, and Storrs, a man named Storrs.
You know, Anne Marie, and this is Donald here from Texas.
Donald.
You mentioned the thing about creature worship earlier, and I was just thinking, that's weird because while they're claiming that birthdays are creature worship, even right up to this very day, they're wanting you, the governing body is, they're wanting you to worship them because they always bring up themselves all the time, everybody, about you trusting the governing body and Jesus trusts the governing body. How do they know who Jesus trusts? I mean, Jesus put his trust in them.
You know what? Some lady on Reddit, I loved her comment. She just threw it out there. She said, with the governing body constantly telling us not to worship this and not to worship that, but yet they encourage and enjoy being worshipped themselves, everybody fawning over them and praising them and giving parties for them. And she said, this commenter said, pretty soon we're going to get rid of Jehovah and Jesus and go directly to praying to the governing body.
Oh, that would be horrible.
I know.
But I wouldn't. But you know what? I wouldn't put it past them because
Exactly.
you can see the governing body. They speak on the videos and stuff. So why not? I mean, and that organization is straight up the alley of the Antichrist because even though they aren't quote the Antichrist, they are good for that because the witnesses are taught to follow that group, those men, and the Antichrist is going to try to get you to follow him in pretty much the same way. It's going to be, like you said, we could reach the point where the Watchtower organization says, well, we'll just get rid of Jesus, we'll just get rid of Jehovah, we'll just have the people pray to us and pray to whatever,
Well, they never actually are out there, loudly showing what they're doing. They just kind of quietly stop. Like when they had the big promotion of, what does the Bible really teach? That was a heavy duty thing. That was the focus. And then it just kind of disappeared and fell to the wayside. Nobody talks about it anymore. The reasoning from the scriptures book. It was so important. And everybody was so excited about it. Most witnesses went door to door. In fact, almost all of them had it taped to the back of their Bible. It was like a tool. Nobody talks about it anymore. Nobody uses it anymore. And it's like, it's this way with everything. And then they had the big campaign, the pamphlet, Return to Jehovah. That was a huge campaign. Where is it now? That's what they do. They don't say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. It just kind of disappears quietly into the night.
Well, no, and I like your topic tonight, the fear. Even though I never was an actual Jehovah's Witnesses, that wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. I did study with them briefly, but they put a lot of fear in you because they tell you, first of all, to disassociate yourself from your friends and your family that aren't witnesses. And they put fear of Armageddon in you, and that Armageddon fear. Of course, I don't think they do that so much anymore, for what I've heard, because
it's kind of wearing thin.
Yeah, they put other fears in you too, but all this stuff about fear of the general population, fear of everything else, they want you to pray so you won't leave them. You will just stay in your. A lot of people are out that the world is.
I keep thinking about this program. Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Donald? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm outside. My phone goes in and out. Yeah, it's real scary how witnesses don't know their history. What was that?
I learned something this week.
Thank you, Donald. Don't leave. Go
I
ahead,
learned something this week. This is the 1,700th year of the Council of Nicaea.
Okay.
And that's when, the witnesses and the Mormons both believe that the people at the council were correct in not granting divinity to Christ. And the Catholic Church, Pope Leo mentioned that this is the 1,700th year of this dispute. And that the Catholics, the Baptists, and most of your Christian denominations believe that the Arian heresy was not correct and that Jesus was and is divine. And I had no idea it was 1,700 years ago that these groups have been fighting each other that long.
Okay.
So that kind of struck me. That's a long time to have a feud.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that's where the witnesses think they were right. They think that 1,700 years ago, this guy was right. And that's where they're maintaining their doctrine on that. And it was just interesting that the Pope mentioned it because he was on the other side of that view in Nicaea, which is in Turkey, which is where he's visiting now. And I'm not Catholic. I'm not going to convert to it, but I just thought this was interesting that Pope Leo was noting this history fact. Because that's a long time to be fighting each other.
That's exactly right. Donald, did you have anything to add, or were you finished commenting? Donald? Were you done? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Anybody else want to comment?
Yeah, hello, Anne Marie.
Hello, is this my brother Ken?
Yes, it is. Ken from Michigan.
Hi.
First of all, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. And I want to wish the people at Six Screens and everybody that's listening a happy Thanksgiving and belated Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't get a hold of you before. And so we always want to remember who the world's biggest turkey is, and that is the Watchtower Society. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
And so forth. And number two, I haven't heard from Jay. I haven't been able to get a hold of him, but I'm going to keep on trying. It's getting harder and harder to get a hold of him over there at that Riverside over in New York and so forth.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, I just I wanted to comment on one other thing. There, the story that I brought you last week about this Aaron Scott Merritt in Kenai, Alaska, that was arrested on criminal sexual conduct, 20 counts, involving 4 girls that happened between 1990 and 2000. He happened to commit suicide.
Ken,
and there won't be any more. So there's not going to be any justice in that case.
Okay.
So sorry to hear that.
What does this have to do with the Watchtower, sweetheart?
Well, he was an elder. He was an elder in the Watchtower Society, and as soon as he was arrested, the church that he was with, the Kingdom Hall he was with, closed down, and they merged with the neighboring Kingdom Hall. And
thank you for bringing that out. That is.
I don't know if Mr. Farron got that one or not, and so forth, but we're definitely going to be hearing about. I think, Denmark tonight. I think he's got that one on there, but Denmark says they're not going to put up with the Watchtower Society anymore, and the Minister of Religion there says he doesn't have a soft heart in any place for the Watchtower Society. He's very angry at them. But this Merritt guy in Kenai, Alaska, He committed CSC. He committed CSC against 4 different girls, and he allegedly committed suicide when he was in jail. So there's going to be no justice there in that case.
Okay, so Ken, please.
Yeah.
Give me 5 seconds.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure I understood what you said. This is important that you're bringing this out.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, I want to make sure this horrible, disgusting pedophile that you're talking about that abused these girls and committed suicide, or you're saying this was a Jehovah's Witness elder, and because of the publicity, the whole Kingdom Hall congregation shut down. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, there was around Kenai, Alaska, there was 2 different congregations. And as soon as he was arrested, that one congregation closed down that he was from.
And you got to wonder how long that was going on, Ken. Oh, my God.
It was going on from 1990 to 2000 with him.
No, what?
Yeah, and there's going to be no justice because he committed suicide, and it's probably going to freeze right there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And it's so close.
And the reason I brought it up is because we don't hear that much from Alaska here. Hardly anything. And that would have been, if they could have just found, if he would have been convicted, and if that would have been true there, that would have been some pretty good news for us, but would have been some pretty good news for Alaska. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know on that and so forth. And
well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, I better let you go right now. Let's take the next caller, and please hit *6, and let's hear from some more people out there.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody want to comment on what Ken was talking about, or on Thanksgiving, or anything Stephen said, or Donald? Anybody would like to comment? *6, this show's for you. Kind of like a free-for-all, people. Anything on anybody's mind, just hit *6. I'm all ears. Alrighty. Well, I was thinking about how they're so controlling in the Watchtower, especially when it comes to how parents are expected to inculcate and indoctrinate their children. And if they don't do a great job, if Watchtower or the elders don't perceive that the Watchtower parents are doing a good enough job, they're going to get in trouble. And one thing that we know as children in the Watchtower get older, they do have questions. And they usually ask their questions of their mother or their father, maybe an uncle who's an elder. So I was reading somewhere regarding a son not allowed to question. A son was asking his father regarding their religion. And this was not in regard to Watchtower. It was from a movie called Nothing to Lose, and it was just the part where the son was asking his father questions about their religion. And he asked his father, why do we believe these things? Why are we in this religion? He asked an honest question. The father said, well, that's just what we believe in. You shouldn't question our religion. And the son said, but what if I don't believe in our religion? What if I have questions? Aren't I allowed to think for myself? Should I be forced to believe in something that doesn't make any sense to me? And the father, kind of not knowing how to handle what his son had just said, he hesitated, not knowing what to say or how to answer him. But then he said to his son, do whatever you want, just don't lose yourself, son. See, first, the father looked around to make sure that nobody in the house could hear what he said, because he knew his son was asking honest, logical questions. So the son answered him, but Dad, I already feel lost, Dad, because he had been raised in this religion. So that made me think of the toxicity of the Watchtower. You know, it's just, you're not allowed to, you're even afraid to even think in your own mind, even if you don't share your thoughts. It's like ingrained in you that if you question or think within yourself, or even ask God to help you understand or to show you the proper understanding of something, you feel like you've done something wrong. You committed some sin. You're disrespecting God, because I was always told by the Watchtower at every convention that if you question in any way what the governing body teaches you, then you are disrespecting and questioning Jehovah, because Jehovah has appointed the faithful slave to basically be the mouthpiece to the rank and file. So you disrespect them, and if you question them, that's disrespect, right? It's really. Go ahead, Milo.
Okay, now watch and listen to this. Well, my wife is watching our grandkids, okay?
Okay.
They come up to me and they say, they were singing a song about Jehovah, 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 okay?
Oh boy.
And I said, Poppy does not like that word, and it's not nice to say around Poppy. And your mom and dad need to tell you not to use that word. Grandmom told you to use that word because she said it was God's name. It is not God's name. And you should go and ask your grandmother whose God's real name is. I said to them. And then my son come and corrected her at our house.
Okay.
I put her in her place and said, you don't go and try to teach my children and indoctrinate them in your organization. I don't like that, and I won't put up with it.
You go, David.
No, this is my oldest son saying this.
Uh-huh.
And my oldest son said it right in front of both of us. And his wife and him has told the kids, what Grandma says, do not believe in what she's talking about Jehovah, okay?
Uh-huh.
The kids came back and said, Grandma was talking to somebody about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the youngest daughter said, I don't like Jehovah no more, Grandma. And then the oldest son said, I don't want to listen to your words no more, Grandma. Because they are flat out evil, Grandma. And this is spoken by a child. A child that the first grandson is named James. Go look up the name and see what it means. Go look up Sophia and look at what her name means in the Bible. It is very powerful words.
Yeah, doesn't Sophia mean wisdom?
Yes, very much wisdom. And this little girl is only 3 years old, and she has an IQ of 90 already.
Oh wow!
She's already doing mathematics in the second grade. So this is the way they try to indoctrinate other children to show you about how they get indoctrinated in front of somebody else.
Okay, who's just trying to see? Thank you, Ken.
Hey, it's RJ.
RJ, I was wondering if you're going to come on. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Their topic was Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I think that Thanksgiving is less taboo than other holidays with the witnesses, but they still don't talk about it or celebrate it or bring it up.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you secretly, will visit family members and do that, they just don't really talk about it.
Yeah, a lot do. I never did. I was raised very strictly. We always heard the words, you can't compromise.
Anne Marie, I just thought of something. In the Bible, this is Donald, by the way. In the Bible, they celebrated holidays and stuff. There were festivals.
We're bred that way. Yep.
Yeah, well, there were festivals that Jesus said that he would go to or would not go to. And what festivals are? They're celebrations for specific things, like down, some places might have the Dogwood Festival or things like that. And those are holidays in a sense, celebrating a particular thing. And they had those in the Bible, and Jesus himself went to those.
Exactly.
And so why do Jehovah's Witnesses have this deal about the holidays when they can look in their own Bible and see that Jesus went to festivals, which were celebrations and stuff?
What's more interesting is we were never told by Jesus or anybody that we had to do this or we couldn't do that. We had our conscience.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's just the thing. Watchtower, back to the fear thing. Once they've installed that thing about, you can't celebrate Christmas, no Thanksgiving, no birthdays, no Halloween and stuff. And they tell you that if you do that, then you're disobeying Jehovah. If you question Jehovah and stuff.
Is anybody else having trouble hearing the program?
Is it my phone again? Sorry.
Oh, well, this is Rick Farron at the control panel. Well, what's going on, Anne Marie, is people coming in and they're leaving their TVs on. They watch YouTube. They watch the 6 screens on YouTube and Facebook, and so they're leaving that going in the background. You have to, friends. When you're not speaking up, please mute yourself. Hit *6. Hit *6 to come on. Hit *6 to go off. It'll be so much clearer. So much clearer. Give it a shot, okay?
Brother, how much time do we have? It seems like we're run over.
Yeah, go ahead. You're over, but there's a lot of people who still want to come on, Anne Marie. So let's bring them on. Give you about 15, 20 more minutes, okay?
Okay, thank you so much, my brother Rick. I just don't want anybody to not have a chance to speak. Go ahead, my brother. You were speaking?
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Hi, it's Susan. I have a question because this was something that kind of, when I was a witness, it was the unofficial Thanksgiving. And usually people had off Thursday and they also had off that Friday. Well, what a lot of witnesses would do, because turkeys were cheap, they would have the family over on the Friday after Thanksgiving and have like an unofficial, it's not really Thanksgiving, but we're having people over anyway. And I never fell for that. I was raised my hand and said I was against it because what's the difference whether you have it on Thursday or Friday? But they said because it was on the different day that it didn't represent Thanksgiving. So I'd like to know where people stand on that, how they could really, say one day's okay and one day's not okay.
Well, I think what I heard was since Thursday was the official day for Thanksgiving and it was a worldly holiday and, we can't be part of the world, but the fact that it's supposed to be about family coming together and we're not celebrating a recognized holiday, then that made it okay. We were always trying to figure out how we could fulfill our ingrown need. Our genetic need is to be able to celebrate, to come together, to be with family. And so it was like trying to do the best we could to make it right without it being wrong.
That's a good way to put it, making it right without it being wrong. I like that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Can I take a crack at it?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll take a crack at it. There's 2 reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Thanksgiving. my brother and Jesse and I have been saying this forever, for years on YouTube, that my dad would always tell us as little kids, there's two types of people in this world. There's grateful and there's ungrateful. Now go to bed. And my dad would always tell that to Jesse and I. There's two. Jehovah's Witnesses are the most ungrateful people, and they are forbidden by the Spirit to celebrate Thanksgiving because their whole existence is an existence of ungratefulness. But here's the other reason. Reason number two, and also I've been preaching this for over 10 years, is Thanksgiving in the United States is the only celebration in the world, the only celebration where two presidents of the United States, two heads of states have said that we are going to take one day and give a day of Thanksgiving to the Father who dwelleth in the heaven. And that was George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. So here's the point. When the government says something, Watchtower says, we're going to listen to Caesar and we're going to get the jab in the arm. That's what the governing body member says. We're going to obey Caesar. But when George Washington and Abraham Lincoln say, we are going to put one day and separate it to a day of Thanksgiving to the Father who dwelleth in heaven, we are the only country in the world, America, where we actually recognize a day of Thanksgiving to God. And Jehovah's Witnesses cannot participate in it because, one, they're not loyal to Caesar. They're only loyal to Caesar when it comes to their medical things. And you know, but they're forbidden because they're ungrateful. Don't you remember when Jesus was getting rid of the demons and the demons tried to praise Jesus, and then nobody could hear the demons because they weren't worthy of saying anything good about Jesus that anybody could hear. Well, the same thing here. The Jehovah's Witnesses are not worthy of celebrating Thanksgiving because they need to repent and say, I'm sorry, I'm now an apostate. That's my 2 cents.
No, that's an interesting point. Thank you, Gilbert.
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, it's Nadine. Is that Gilbert? Are you still there?
How are you?
Good. Are you still there, Gilbert? I guess he hung up. Anyway, I just wanted... Huh?
I'm listening.
Oh, I just wanted to say hi to you and Anne-Marie.
Well, do you have any thoughts regarding anything anyone has said so far in the show, Nadine?
Yeah. I think that the Jehovah's Witnesses are hypocrites when it comes to Thanksgiving.
Why ever did you think that?
Because they all celebrate it. They all get a turkey and they make turkey either that day or the next day or that weekend.
Yeah.
And they all have a big turkey dinner. That's my thought on it.
No, it's true. But they're hypocrites in so many ways. And I think that a lot of times they don't really realize that they're just trying to finagle things in a way to where they can, quote unquote, technically feel like they're not going against Jehovah or the organization, but yet they're able to be with their family or able to do normal human things. Every normal human wants to do normal human things.
Right. That's true.
What was so funny is the PBS one part on the Puritans. And my family came over on the Mayflower, so I'm always interested in knowing. But the Puritans were the most witness-like of all the American religions. At the end of the one-part PBS show, they mentioned the Holy Name, and the Puritans were kicked out of England because they wanted to close the theaters, not have Christmas, and tell everybody else what to do.
It's not the truth. Oh, wow. That's
Anne-Marie,
the truth. Yes.
Anne-Marie, this Gilbert, one last thing. I'll go. After the show, I invite everybody to go to any website like Bible Gateway, whatever, and just type in the word Thanksgiving and see how many times it appears in other Bibles. And then you're going to find out that the Jehovah's Witnesses have taken the word Thanksgiving out of every Bible text in their Bible. They have the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not you can't say that's a coincidence.
Are you saying that the word Thanksgiving has been in the Bible? Because I didn't know that.
Yeah, go to Bible Gateway or Bible Hub, type in the word Thanksgiving, and it'll tell you the different translations. And you'll be even surprised that even the angels offer Thanksgiving.
Wow. Sounds like apostate talk to me.
Well, I hope I ain't interrupting here, but Gilbert has a nice point that it is true being in that cult we're ungrateful, and it is truly the most puritanical of them all.
Yep, that is true.
It's like being under, I'm going to say, Sharia law.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Like being under.
Yeah,
call it North Indian law. How about Afghanistan Taliban Sharia? That's they're worse. Afghanistan has become worse than even North Korea under that Taliban.
Okay, well, I just kind of want to stick to, Watchtower and how tyrannical and dictatorial and controlling and cultish they are. Because if we start talking about other wicked people, then it takes the focus of how horrible and wicked and evil the Watchtower cult is. And I don't want to ever lose that focus. That's just my thought.
I like to put an emphasis, and I agree with you, and everybody hopefully y'all have a great Thanksgiving.
Well, Dallas, I am so glad that you called in. How are you, Dallas? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, I haven't made it on, or maybe I couldn't get when I can get thoughts together and can compliment others.
You do good, Dallas. It's always a treat to hear from you.
But
Kurt on the line? What's that?
Well, I have my anger problems at times because not just for my own sake, but for the sake of others as well who's in it.
Well, honey, we love you, and you are part of the Six Screens family, and
thank you.
Nothing wrong with that. We love hearing from you.
I do too. I love hearing from everybody here.
Aw. Would anybody else like to speak up? We're almost at.
It's RJ again.
Who's this, RJ?
Yeah. The one Thanksgiving memory I have was, football is always a big thing. They always play the Lions game and the Cowboys game.
Uh-huh.
And I remember one year the Lions really got blown out by the Colts.
Oh.
And then I remember, and it's already kind of a depressing environment when the winter time in Michigan. But I remember going to that, seeing the Lions get blown out, and then going to the night meeting afterwards, and it was like going to a funeral.
Oh. When is this happening, dear?
I looked it up. It was 2004.
Oh, and you remember that, huh?
And have you ever noticed that, Anne Marie? Like, nobody died, but the environment of the meetings feels like a funeral.
So somber and depressing. Yes, yes. I'm hearing you, my brother.
But if you're not in the right mind frame, it's even worse being there.
Yep. It surely is.
Anne Marie?
Yes, who's this?
This is Stephen again. I just had a thought a little bit on what GB just said about Thanksgiving being in the Bible. We were talking before about celebrating various things. I was very interested to learn that it is said and believed that Job's children celebrated their birthday. because
Well, of course they
in the
do.
Bible, I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry. I'm glad you brought that up. I try to point out to people, if you read the first part of Job, it shows right from the very beginning how Job's grown children would not only celebrate each other's birthday at the birthday boy's or girl's house, but the Bible says they would party for days. And yet Job was considered faithful to Jehovah. So if birthdays were such a terrible sin and creature worship and some kind of sin against Jehovah, why is it being praised? And people might say, well, let me just do this one little bit. A lot of witnesses would say, well, it doesn't say they were celebrating their birthday. It said they were celebrating their day. Well, that's what they called it. But
no. Certain Bible translations do say birthday. You can go to BibleHub.com, put in that verse, and then do a search for the word birthday, and you will see that there are a number of Bible translations that render that not as day, as birthday.
I understand. I'm talking about witnesses who only think the New World Translation is the correct Bible. That's what I go on. If they say they only believe that Bible, every other translation is not right. So if you look in the New World Translation, it's all about celebrating their day. Well, they say, oh, that's not birthday. But if you go in the beginning of chapter 3, where Job is suffering terribly, and then he laments the day of his birth. He laments his day, the day of his birth. So if you put those two things together, even the New World Translation, even though it's corrupted, it is made very clear that Job, who was considered very favorable and faithful to God, his children all celebrated birthdays. That's what I wanted to jump in and thank you for letting me talk. Please continue. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No. That's all I was going to say. You said it much better than I was going to, so thank you. That's all I was going to say.
So according to Stephen, you're right on. So Stephen, basically, even according to the New World Translation, it doesn't say anything against birthdays. And when witnesses bring up, well, the only birthdays mentioned there were murders. And they, of course, always bring up John the Baptist's head on a platter. And if you look at it, they're not paying attention to the big picture. You know how they nitpick. The king offered a gift of whatever the girl wanted. He said, whatever you request, I will give you. It was because, not having anything to do with the birthday, it was because he was so taken with her beautiful dancing. And her mother whispered in her ear, tell him you want the head of John the Baptist. Well, the brothers all say, well, look what happened. See, birthdays are wrong. It's connected with murder. Well, no. It's actually, if you want to get petty about it, it's connected with dancing. So instead of banning birthdays and calling them a terrible sin, how come you didn't ban dancing, Watchtower?
Not only ban dancing, but you see in both of those accounts, there was a lot of excessive drinking. These people were completely drunk out of their mind. Well, what happens when you get drunk out of your mind? You do and say stuff that ordinarily you wouldn't do and say. But you'll never hear Watchtower tell you not to have alcohol because of the way that they abuse alcohol, even right there in Bethel. You're absolutely right. And I learned that even as a kid. Just like you said, I read that account, and I said, they read this, and they come away with, don't celebrate birthdays. But it's clear, especially in the case of John the Baptist, John the Baptist was killed because he said some very terrible things about that particular ruler in his presence, in the presence of other people. You do that to anybody in power, there's a price to pay. If you're going to go criticize Donald Trump on the world stage and call him all kinds of, even the things that you're saying are 100% correct, there will be a price to pay.
No doubt.
Can you imagine saying something like that to? Can you imagine saying something like that to the Russian president whose name escapes me? Probably before that day ends, you will no longer be on this planet. There's a price. That was the real reason why he was killed. It had nothing to do with birthdays and alcohol and all the rest of that. And so that's the real point of that. And yet Watchtower can read that and completely change that narrative and come away with, you shouldn't celebrate birthdays because this may happen because this happened, 2,000 years ago. Totally insane.
Exactly. And even though, if we want to follow their line of reasoning, well, Jesus wore beards. All the apostles wore beards. How come we couldn't have beards? How come we would be removed from service and basically called an apostate or rebellious if we had beards?
Exactly.
Jesus and all the apostles wore robes and togos and had long hair. How come we can't, they only use what suits them, and they twist what suits them. And the most fun thing that I always love is, you know what? Just because somebody didn't do something didn't mean it was necessarily a sin. They didn't graduate from high school. They didn't get diplomas. They didn't, they leave some stuff alone, but if it can benefit them, it'll benefit them. And I'm surprised while they call this pagan and that pagan, they don't say you can't have bridesmaids or groomsmen, which is a pagan thing that's supposed to somehow fool the demon so the devil doesn't know which one is the bride or which one is the groom. That's an old pagan custom, but the Watchtower knows they can only take away so much. They can't take away everything. That, witnesses have to have something that they can celebrate, something that they can enjoy. Yeah.
Anne Marie.
Exactly.
Hi. Yep. Anne Marie, are you there?
I'm
Hello?
here for you. Is this King of the Dots?
Yeah, how did you guess? There's another angle to this. I did extensive research when I started fading in 2004. The fact is, Jesus celebrated things that God did not ordain that were spiritual festivals, the Feast of Purim, that had to do with Esther, as you may recall. Now, actually, birthdays have nothing to do with anything spiritual, period. But Jesus didn't care if it was a man-made holiday. Purim was totally man-made, wasn't dictated in the Old Testament, but he did it. So even less so, birthdays, man-made customs are not just automatically bad. I mean, everybody in their families has little customs, don't they? I mean,
well, King of the Dots, they can't possibly have that high of standards. I mean, they allow pedophilia. They allow men to beat their women. They allow children to be beaten. They allow people to steal from other brothers and sisters. And, I mean, they can't have that high of standards. On one hand, they nitpick.
Well, they don't really have high standards. It's just certain people, they give them a lower standard. That's what they do. If you're an elder, by a circuit overseer, elders are hard to come by. Even though the elder that me and my study teacher complained about was a consummate liar and a slanderer, they couldn't get rid of him because elders are hard to come by, I was so befuddled by hearing that. But anyway, I always have poems, but I'm not going to do a poem.
King of the Dots, we are past time. We are past the time. So can that poem wait till next week?
Oh, yeah, it'll wait because I've got stuff. But I do
we need to end the show now. I want to thank everyone who called in. Sorry, King of the Dots. I'm so glad you came on. We want to thank Rick. We want to thank Pixie. We want to thank David and Stephen. And we want to thank Donald from Texas. We want to thank Ken. Also, thank God. I'd love to hear our sister Susan came on. We want to thank Gilbert and Nadine and Dallas and RJ. And again, we thank the King of the Dots. It was a lovely, lovely show. And we don't want to take advantage of Rick's generosity with giving us extra time. We are done for Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. Today is November 29th, 2025, and we need to go now to our brother Rick. Rick?
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. Thank you very much. We've got a big program coming up here tonight, so stay with us. We're going to JW World News. Of course, that's the news. The Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so by all means, stay on this channel, this Facebook and this YouTube channel. Thank you, though, Anne-Marie. A lot of people calling in tonight. As I always say, as the weather gets colder, more and more people come into the 6 screens. This is where ex-Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. And friends, let me tell you, I look at this program of, it's not really an audience. Yes, we do have an audience, but more so a community. We have a lot of the same people that visit us every week. Some of these people have been doing it for 20 years. So we thank you all those people that called in and said hello to Anne-Marie and talked about their trek in the Watchtower. We really appreciate you doing that and spending some time with Anne-Marie tonight right here on the 6 screens. So stay with us. We're now going to go live to our program, JW World News. But let me go back to this program and make sure we shut it off properly so that it won't continue on and make all kinds of problems for us. So let's end the program right here. Okay.